Hannah Elizabeth Graham was born on February 25, 1996, in Reading, England. At the age of 5, she moved with her family to Virginia, USA, where she would grow up to become a vibrant and cherished member of her community. As a student at the University of Virginia UVA, Hannah was known for her academic diligence and enthusiasm for learning. She was a second-year student, immersing herself in the rich academic culture that UVA offers. Her friends and professors often spoke of her inquisitive nature and her dedication to her studies. Beyond the classroom, Hannah's passions were diverse. She was an accomplished athlete, participating in various sports during her high school years at West Potomac High School in Fairfax County. Her teammates admired her for her commitment and the spirited energy she brought to every game and practice. Music was another of Hannah's loves. She had a deep appreciation for various genres and often attended local concerts and music events. Her friends recall her excitement when discovering new bands or sharing her favorite playlists, highlighting her eclectic taste and passion for the arts. Hannah's daily life at UVA was a blend of academic pursuits and social engagements. She was an active participant in university events, always eager to support her peers and contribute to the campus community. Her enthusiasm was infectious, inspiring those around her to embrace life with the same vigor and positivity. Her friends describe her as someone who had an innate ability to connect with others. Whether through shared study sessions, athletic endeavors, or casual conversations over coffee, Hannah made those around her feel valued and understood. Her genuine interest in people's lives and her unwavering support for her friends' ambitions left a lasting impact on all who knew her. In essence, Hannah Graham was a young woman whose life was characterized by passion, enthusiasm, and a deep love for the people and world around her. Her legacy continues to inspire those who were fortunate enough to know her, serving as a reminder of the profound impact one individual can have on a community. On the evening of September 12, 2014, Hannah Graham, an 18-year-old University of Virginia sophomore, prepared for a typical Friday night out with friends. Known for her vibrant spirit and sociable nature, Hannah was eager to unwind after a week of classes. Around 9 p.m., Hannah joined a group of friends at a party near the UVA campus. As the night progressed, she decided to leave and visit another gathering. At approximately 11:50 p.m., surveillance footage captured Hannah outside McGrady's Irish pub on Grady Avenue. She was seen conversing with a man, though she did not enter the establishment. Shortly after midnight, Hannah sent a text message to friends indicating she was lost, which was uncharacteristic given her familiarity with the area. She mentioned being on her way to a party but was unsure of her location. This message would be the last communication her friends received from her. Between 1 o'clock and 1:20 a.m. on September 13th, multiple surveillance cameras in Charlottesville's downtown mall area captured Hannah's movements. She was seen walking unsteadily, possibly under the influence, and at times appeared disoriented. At 1:06 a.m., footage showed her passing by a service station, and by 1:08 a.m., she was seen running, only to slow down moments later. At 1:20 a.m., cameras recorded Hannah outside Tempo Restaurant, where she encountered Jesse Leroy Matthew Jr., a 32-year-old Charlottesville resident. Witnesses later reported seeing Matthew with his arm around Hannah, describing her as appearing intoxicated and in need of assistance. This interaction was the last confirmed sighting of Hannah. In the days following her disappearance, friends and family grew increasingly concerned when they couldn't reach her. Hannah's absence was out of character, prompting them to report her missing to the Charlottesville Police Department. The community quickly mobilized, distributing flyers and organizing search parties in hopes of finding the missing student. The initial hours and days after Hannah's disappearance were filled with uncertainty and fear. As the investigation unfolded, the focus shifted to the man last seen with her, Jesse Matthew, leading authorities down a path that would eventually uncover deeper and more disturbing truths. When Hannah Graham was reported missing, the Charlottesville Police Department launched a widespread investigation. Her disappearance shook the University of Virginia community and captured national attention. Law enforcement swiftly gathered surveillance footage from local businesses, piecing together her movements on the night she vanished. The last known sighting showed her with Jesse Leroy Matthew Jr., a man unfamiliar to her friends and family but known locally. Authorities identified Jesse Matthew as the person of interest after reviewing the footage from the downtown mall area. He was seen walking with Hannah, and witnesses recalled him putting his arm around her, seemingly helping her as she appeared disoriented. This footage, combined with eyewitness accounts, made him the last known person to be with Hannah. Investigators released images of Matthew and his car, a distinctive burnt orange Chrysler, hoping for public assistance. Shortly after, they visited his apartment and towed his vehicle for forensic examination. Inside the car, they found crucial evidence, including fibers and DNA that linked both Hannah and Matthew to the vehicle. This discovery shifted the investigation from a missing person case to one of potential foul play. Meanwhile, search efforts intensified. Volunteers from the community, students from the University of Virginia, and search and rescue teams scoured Charlottesville and surrounding areas. They distributed flyers, conducted door-to-door inquiries, and used search dogs in wooded areas. Helicopters with infrared cameras scanned large fields and forests, hoping to find any trace of Hannah. The sheer scale of the search demonstrated the community's commitment to finding her. During this time, Matthew agreed to visit the police station for questioning but abruptly left without answering any questions. His sudden departure raised suspicions, and an arrest warrant was issued for reckless driving when he fled the area, leading authorities on a multi-state manhunt. His disappearance deepened the mystery and urgency of the case. As investigators dug deeper into Matthew's background, they uncovered his history of violent behavior and previous allegations of sexual assault. His name was linked to other unsolved cases, raising the possibility of a serial predator. These revelations intensified public interest and pressure on law enforcement to find both Hannah and Matthew. The investigation reached a turning point when forensic testing confirmed that DNA evidence found in Matthew's car matched Hannah's. Additionally, his DNA linked him to the 2009 murder of Morgan Harrington, a Virginia Tech student who went missing after attending a concert in Charlottesville. This connection expanded the investigation beyond Hannah's case, suggesting a pattern of violence linked to Matthew. As the search for Hannah continued, the investigation grew more complex, revealing chilling details about Jesse Matthews' past. His flight from authorities and the mounting evidence against him left the community anxiously awaiting answers. Weeks passed with no sign of Hannah Graham, and hope began to wane. Despite extensive searches by law enforcement, volunteers, and the community, no concrete leads emerged. Then, on October 18, 2014, over a month after Hannah went missing, human remains were discovered on an abandoned property in Albemarle County, about 12 miles from where she was last seen. The area was rural and heavily wooded, a stark contrast to the bustling college town of Charlottesville. A search team member stumbled upon skeletal remains behind an abandoned house. Nearby, they found pieces of clothing matching what Hannah was last seen wearing. Forensic experts were called to the scene to conduct a thorough examination. The discovery immediately heightened suspicions that the remains belonged to Hannah, but investigators waited for DNA confirmation before making an official announcement. The property where the remains were found was located along a route that Jesse Matthew was known to frequent. This connection further solidified law enforcement's suspicions, linking him directly to the crime scene. Shortly after the discovery, the remains were positively identified as Hannah Graham through dental records and DNA analysis. The confirmation devastated her family, friends, and the university community, bringing a tragic end to the weeks-long search. During this time, Jesse Matthew was on the run. After he fled Charlottesville, a nationwide manhunt was launched, and his image was circulated across news networks and social media. Tips poured in from people claiming to have seen him in different states. Finally, on September 24, 2014, Matthew was located and arrested in Galveston, Texas. He had been camping on the beach and was living out of his car. Law enforcement apprehended him without incident and extradited him back to Virginia. Following his arrest, authorities charged Jesse Matthew with abduction with intent to defile, based on the evidence found in his car and surveillance footage showing him with Hannah. Public outrage grew as more details about his past emerged, including previous allegations of sexual assault at 2 different universities, where he had been quietly dismissed without formal charges. These revelations sparked widespread criticism about how his history was handled, suggesting that the tragedies might have been prevented had earlier actions been taken. After his arrest, forensic evidence continued to build the case against Matthew. DNA from the crime scene linked him to Hannah Graham, and further investigation tied him to another high-profile case, the 2009 murder of Morgan Harrington. Morgan was a Virginia Tech student who went missing after attending a Metallica concert in Charlottesville. Her remains were found months later on a remote farm, and the case had remained unsolved for years. DNA evidence now connected both murders to Jesse Matthew. The community was stunned by the revelation that the same man was responsible for the deaths of two young women, 5 years apart. The connection between the cases exposed a disturbing pattern, highlighting the dangers lurking in the seemingly safe college town of Charlottesville. As the investigation continued, law enforcement looked into other unsolved cases, suspecting that Matthew might be linked to additional crimes. Jesse Matthew's arrest marked a pivotal moment in the case, providing Hannah's family with some measure of closure. However, it also raised painful questions about how a predator could evade justice for so long. As the trial approached, the public anxiously awaited to see if justice would finally be served. Morgan Harrington, mentioned earlier, was a 20-year-old Virginia Tech student who went missing on October 17, 2009, after attending a Metallica concert at the John Paul Jones Arena in Charlottesville, Virginia, the same city where Hannah Graham would vanish 5 years later. Morgan had become separated from her friends during the concert and was last seen hitchhiking on a bridge near the arena. Despite extensive searches and public appeals for information, her whereabouts remained unknown for months. In January 2010, her skeletal remains were discovered on a remote farm in Albemarle County, about 10 miles from the arena. The discovery shattered her family and the local community, who had held out hope that she might be found alive. An autopsy confirmed that Morgan had been sexually assaulted and murdered, but without any immediate suspects, the case went cold. A breakthrough came years later when forensic testing linked DNA evidence from Morgan Harrington's case to Jesse Matthew. The DNA found on Morgan matched the DNA collected from Matthew following his arrest in the Hannah Graham investigation. This critical piece of evidence revealed that the same man was responsible for both young women's tragic deaths. The revelation raised serious questions about whether Morgan's death could have been prevented. At the time of her murder, Matthew was living in Charlottesville, working as a cab driver, a job that allowed him to blend into the community and move around unnoticed. Investigators believe that he offered Morgan a ride the night she went missing, exploiting her vulnerability to commit the crime. Faced with the DNA evidence, prosecutors charged Jesse Matthew with Morgan Harrington's abduction and murder. During court proceedings, Morgan's parents, Dan and Gil Harrington, were vocal about their grief and their fight for justice. They spoke about the vibrant, compassionate young woman Morgan was, a student with dreams of becoming a teacher. Their tireless advocacy work led to the creation of the Help Save the Next Girl organization, which raises awareness about campus safety and violence against women. While investigating the connections to Morgan Harrington, authorities uncovered yet another chilling link to Jesse Matthew. In 2005, a young woman was brutally attacked and sexually assaulted in Fairfax, Virginia. She had been walking home from the grocery store when a man grabbed her from behind, dragged her into a dark area, and assaulted her. Remarkably, she survived the attack by fighting back and escaping, later providing police with a detailed description of her assailant. At the time, DNA evidence was collected from the victim but did not match anyone in the database, and the case went cold. However, the DNA profile from the Fairfax assault was later matched to the DNA found on Morgan Harrington, establishing a direct connection between the two cases. This development created a forensic trail leading straight to Jesse Matthew. When Matthew's DNA was collected during the Hannah Graham investigation, it matched the DNA from the Fairfax assault, confirming his identity as the attacker. In 2014, Matthew was charged with attempted capital murder, abduction, and sexual assault in the Fairfax case. During the trial, the victim courageously testified, recounting the terrifying ordeal she endured. Her testimony was crucial in securing a conviction. The DNA evidence not only solved the cases of Morgan Harrington and the Fairfax assault, but also prompted investigators to re-examine other unsolved cases in Virginia and beyond. Although no additional charges have been filed, law enforcement continues to investigate potential connections to other crimes. By linking these cases through forensic evidence, authorities exposed Jesse Matthews' pattern of targeting young women, preying on their vulnerability, and using violence to fulfill his desires. The thorough investigation and the courage of survivors ensured that he was held accountable for his actions. These revelations also brought some measure of justice to the victims and their families, who had waited years for answers. It underscored the importance of DNA technology in solving cold cases and highlighted the need for systemic changes in how sexual assault allegations are handled to prevent future tragedies. After Jesse Matthews' arrest, the legal proceedings began in earnest. The case drew significant media attention, not only because of the horrific nature of the crime, but also due to the revelations about his past and his connection to other unsolved cases. Prosecutors built a strong case against him, leveraging the overwhelming forensic evidence, including DNA found on Hannah Graham's remains and inside Matthews' car. Surveillance footage showing him with Hannah the night she disappeared further solidified the case. Initially, Jesse Matthews pleaded not guilty, maintaining his innocence as the legal process unfolded. However, faced with the mounting evidence and the possibility of a death sentence, his legal team negotiated a plea deal. In March 2016, Matthews pleaded guilty to the first-degree murders of both Hannah Graham and Morgan Harrington. In exchange, prosecutors agreed to waive the death penalty, opting instead for life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. During the sentencing hearing, the courtroom was filled with emotions as the families of Hannah and Morgan confronted Matthews, sharing victim impact statements that illustrated the deep pain and loss they had endured. Hannah's parents spoke about their vibrant, intelligent daughter who had her whole life ahead of her. They expressed grief not only for her death, but also for the experiences she would never have, from graduating to pursuing her dreams. Morgan's parents spoke of their 5-year ordeal, waiting for justice while struggling to move forward without their beloved daughter. Jesse Matthews remained silent and showed no visible emotion as he listened to the family's heartbreaking statements. He offered no apology or explanation for his actions, maintaining a stoic demeanor throughout the proceedings. The judge sentenced him to 4 consecutive life sentences without parole, ensuring he would spend the rest of his life behind bars. The plea deal brought a measure of closure to the families, sparing them the agony of a lengthy trial. However, the community was left grappling with questions about how Matthews' past actions had been overlooked. It was revealed that he had been accused of sexual assault twice during his college years, once at Liberty University and again at Christopher Newport University. In both cases, he was expelled but never charged, allowing him to continue his predatory behavior unchecked. The public outcry led to a broader conversation about how sexual assault allegations were handled on college campuses. It raised awareness of the loopholes that allowed Matthews to evade justice for so long. The cases prompted policy changes at several universities, implementing stricter reporting protocols and increased accountability for addressing sexual misconduct allegations. In the aftermath of the trial, Hannah's parents established the Hannah Graham Memorial Award to support students pursuing higher education, ensuring her legacy would continue to inspire others. Morgan Harrington's parents continued their advocacy work through the Help Save the Next Girl organization, dedicated to raising awareness about campus safety and preventing similar tragedies. Jesse Matthews is currently serving his life sentences at Red Onion State Prison, a high-security facility in Virginia. Despite the resolution of these cases, questions linger about his potential involvement in other unsolved crimes. Investigators continue to review cold cases for any links to Matthews, considering his established pattern of predatory behavior. The story of Hannah Graham's murder and the pursuit of justice left an indelible mark on the community of Charlottesville. It exposed the vulnerabilities young students face and prompted significant changes in campus safety protocols. The legacies of Hannah Graham and Morgan Harrington continue to inspire advocacy and awareness, ensuring they will never be forgotten. Hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications to be notified as we add new videos daily. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching.